My name is Daniel Chi, and my ethnicity is Korean American. I'm a second generation. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. I've been here all of my life, so that's about 21 years. My parents, they've been doing a business restaurant. They've been in the United States for about 25 to 30 years, I want to say, any around that time, and they first immigrated from South Korea to the United States because my dad's family moved to Seattle, Washington. The rest of my mom's side of the family is still in South Korea today, but she got married to my dad, and they both thought that America would be it's a land of opportunity. That's why a lot of immigrants come to the United States to find better lives and just freedom. And so my grandma, my sisters, my cousins, they all came to the United States and lived in Seattle, Washington. And that's one of the main reasons why my dad followed them, and also why my mom came to the United States. So they've been here for about 25, 30 years. For my mom personally, the things that she didn't have when she was a kid, and the things that me and my sister have, and my little brother, I think she's very proud, and that they made the right decision to move to America. Now, was it a hard transition for them? Yes, absolutely. For any immigrant coming to a new country where they don't know the language, they don't know how to speak the language, they don't know anybody, they don't have any family, any of their immediate family besides their in-laws, I mean, it was a very hard time. While my dad was working, my mom would always stay home. She didn't know anywhere to go, so she just took care of my sister and me. And it wasn't around till they started doing business. She got outside the house. She knew how to speak some more of the language. And but the main point is my parents. America is a great place to live. You learn the universal language. English is used all around the world, so wherever you go, that's an important thing. And also we have a dual background. I mean, I can speak both Korean and English. Now I can read in both languages, so it also helps me in my career. So if you ask if it was the right move, right decision today to my parents, I think full-heartedly both of them would say 100% yes. It was the best move. It was hard, but in the end, the result is me and my sister have a lot of opportunities here in this country that we might not have in Korea. For my parents, well, they're Korean Americans, so they hung out with a lot of Koreans. We in Columbus is a very small Korean population, so the way you got to know people was through Korean churches. And my parents were born again Christians. When they arrived in America, they learned about Christ and got saved during their time here. So back when you asked if it was the right decision, my mom also looks back on that. She would never came to America. She would have never met Christ. But anyways, so we went to church a lot. When I was a little kid, I grew up with a lot of Korean kids. And through the churches, But one of the bad things about that is Korean churches are very small, not a big population. If you don't go to a big Korean church, they break up a lot of times. And through that background, me and my sister saw a lot of things that we really didn't want to affiliate ourselves with other Koreans or Asians in general, just because it's hard to explain, but it's just at that time what we saw and experienced. It was just we didn't feel like to be around a lot of Asians. That doesn't mean that we didn't hang out with Asians or dislike them or racist towards them. It's just it was very uncomfortable for us. So now I was growing up personally. I went to a small Christian high school, went to the same school. It's Evangel Christian Academy. Now it's called Gahanna Christian Academy. And I mostly hung out with white people. Gahanna back then was predominantly a white city. A lot of white people were there. But there weren't that many Asians. To this day, one of my best friends and my brother, that is Anthony Tran, which he's Vietnamese. But other than that, there was only the two of us in our whole school, just two Asian people. And most of my friends were either white or black, or a lot of different other races. But I guess I hung out with predominantly a white group. Today at Ohio State University, I have a lot of new friends. I I have a lot of Asian friends, a lot of white friends, a lot of black friends. So I guess today I hang out with a lot of different types of people, but back in my childhood, I would say mostly white people. And for my sister, I would say the same thing as well. In Korea, I know my mom, she didn't tell me a whole lot about detail about that. I guess I never really asked her, but I do remember her telling me that um, just like maybe not as most recently, maybe 10 years ago, um, my mom's whole side of family was Buddhist. A lot of my cousins were Buddhist because Buddhism is a very big religion in Korea. But obviously that changed today. Today Christianity is very, very big in Korea, as they have the biggest Presbyterian Korean church in the world. So a lot of things has changed. But at that time when my mom converted, I believe that she really didn't believe in anything. Although her background was Buddhism, I don't think my grandpa or grandma were really into the religion. A lot of my family members, like her brothers and sisters, weren't very, what do you say? They're not atheists, but they also didn't take it too hard to believe in something. And so when my mom first came to the United States, like I said, she didn't know anybody. She didn't have any friends. She couldn't even call back to South Korea because we didn't have the technology like we do today, and it was very expensive back then. So, and during that time, she said, she went to Korean church, and for the first time in her life, she was just so alone. But when she went to the Korean church, she just felt God, just comforting her, just letting her know that He is there, and that even though you think you're by yourself or going through a lot of troubles right now because you're in a new country, don't know anything, you don't know the traditions and customs, and that's when she really felt God, and she started reading the Bible. She started praying, when she was by herself, and eventually she got converted to Christianity, which is I would say probably one of the life-changing experiences for my mom today. A lot of people think that with any religion, especially Christianity, since it is criticized a lot by anything we do, usually Christianity is a religion where if one person messes up, they're going to attack you on that, no matter what. You don't see that with any other religion, such as Islam or, ever since 9/11, Islamic has gotten a lot of heat, but before that, wasn't as much criticism as Christianity. And a lot of people assume that just because you're a Christian, life is easy. And that's not true at all. In fact, in the Bible it says, it gets a lot harder, and that's actually true because, you're believing in something that is going against the world, with any religion, whether you're Islamic, Muslim, it's going against the world because the world doesn't really believe in a higher being. But I remember when my mom was a Christian, a lot of times she would tell me because of Christ, she lived through those times. Because of Christ, she got here. Because of Christ, So Christ did play a huge role in my mom's life. And one experience I can remember where, it just brought my family together even stronger was when my mom was diagnosed with a severe injury that nobody knew. I just remembered that, she was in the hospital for a very long time. My mom was always a little bit unhealthy. She was a very picky eater when she was a kid and stuff. But this was far by the worst type of, like, we weren't sure what it was back then. The doctors told us it wasn't cancer, it wasn't that, but we just didn't know, but we just knew it was serious. And I guess a turning point in my life when I saw Christianity and for my dad, for my sister, just for my whole family was, doctors came in one day, when our Korean pastor was there just praying, and he asked everybody to leave except for my dad and my sister. So, I left the room and I tried to watch, what was going on. I couldn't really hear anything, but my dad told me later that night, along with my sister, that the doctors couldn't do anything else more for her. Um, like they said that her chances of living was very, very slim, maybe under 20% or under 25%. And they said no medicine. They just didn't know what was going on, which was really frustrating. But when I was a little kid, I was probably 9, 10 years old. Instead of worrying, I remember my dad told me that, I was just a happy boy even at that time. I prayed to God. We all prayed, because we didn't know what else to do. And, one day, miraculously, the doctors just said, let's just open her up. Let's just do open surgery and see what we can do. Because either way, they said she was going to die. Whether we don't do anything, whether we do surgery, because they couldn't figure out the problem with her. And, when they did this open surgery, they found out that more than 35% of her small intestines died. And I remember at the end of that, the doctor came up to my dad and he was like, I don't know what I just did, but we couldn't even see this through all the testings. And if I was a second late, your wife could have died, and it's really a miracle. And that day, that surgeon who performed that also got saved by Christianity. So if you're asking me if being a Christian and how God, was a huge impact in my life and my mom's life, then yes, it was a very, God is a big part of our life. In fact, to my mom, He is everything to her. So, I guess that was a very life-changing experience. And just to see something like that where someone told you that she's going to die, your loved one's going to die, and you can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it. And then to see her today, just every day is a gift. When I see my mom, every day I see her, when she's walking, knowing that she could have died when I was a little kid, I thank God for that every single day, and I try to appreciate life. And because of Christ, my family can look back during the hard times and say, you know what? Nothing is impossible with God. Humans have a limit, but not Jesus Christ, not God. Honestly, there are times where, I want to, go experience the college life, as they say, go live on campus, go live in the dorms, have roommates, live with my best friends, a lot of them go to Ohio State. But, my life isn't like that. And it's also a choice. My parents don't force me to do that. Because you know what, I can be rebellious and I can just leave anytime I want it, but even if I wasn't a Christian, I wouldn't choose that life. I think it's just not that I'm not that type of person. Yeah, I like to have fun, I like to go party, I like all that stuff, but I guess when I was younger, when we did the Lewis Center, our family went through a really, really difficult time. We had a lot of troubles, a lot of financial obstacles. My family's not rich at all. We're not poor either, but we're just barely above it. And I remember I had to help out a lot at a restaurant. So in other words, I had to grow up kind of fast. And at that time, I also didn't have my sister, who's always been there for me. She was struggling as well with other things, and she went to Europe. And so I was kind of, the only kid, and I took it upon myself to have that responsibility. I mean, during high school, while all my friends went on vacations and, they went to fun places, I worked at the store. And I would work over 100 hours a week during the summer. Every summer, every day I got done with school, up until college, and even now, that's all I did. All I did was help my family. To me, family is number one thing. No matter how good your friends are, no matter how good your girlfriend or boyfriend is, no matter how good your life is personally or how fun it is, if your family is struggling, to me, that affects your life. And I can't live a life where I'm having fun and see my family struggling, because without my parents, I don't have anything. I can't go to school, I can't do the fun things I have. I don't have a place to stay. So, I know a lot of college students, I'm not saying, the norm is, go out and live your own life now. You're 18, you go live out, the way you want to do. You do the things you want to do. I mean, there's nothing your parents can do about that. But to me, I always listen to my parents. If they have something to tell me, I may argue, but in the end, I go back to my mom and I really think about it and I say, you know what, Mom, you're right. There's still a lot of things I don't know about life, and your parents are your best friends. Because you know what, they have your best interest at heart, and not a lot of your friends can do that. Now I'm saying, you can have great friends that are really good friends that are like your family, and you know what, that's great. And I'm fortunate enough to have those type of friends. But partying like that, everything I have is a gift. I'm focused on getting my schoolwork and providing for my family. And when you do that, you don't have a lot of free time to yourself. And there can be a lot of stress in that, but you just balance it out. So yeah, for me, I guess I will be very different from how society and how normal college students behave. But I'm not the only one, so I'm sure there are other students out there who do exactly what I do, so it's nothing special. Me and my sister talk about that sometimes. We joke around saying, what life would be like in Korea for us, for my parents. And the first thing you can assume is, I'm sure my parents would say, if we would have stayed in Korea, I mean, we really wouldn't have to worry that much about money. Because one, you have all your family there to help you, support you. Two, all the hard work my mom and dad did in college there, I'm sure my mom could become a nurse or a big business person, because she's very smart. She knows a lot about business. She's a businesswoman. My dad wanted to be a commercial airliner pilot, and you know what? He graduated one of the top schools in Korea, and he could have done that. So yeah, I mean, in Korea, if we would stay there, I'm sure my mom and dad nearly wouldn't have to work like they did right now, because they work over 120 hours a week, and just to make the bare minimum, which is, kind of not really good, especially with my mom's health. And for me and my sister personally, my sister would say, it would be nice if we would stay in Korea, because when we're in Columbus, Ohio, we don't have any family. We don't have any, besides immediate family, we really don't have any cousins here. Like you said, my family, my mom's side is all in Korea, my dad's side is all on the West Coast. So we're like in the middle where, everything is far away. So every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, all those times, it's funny because my friends don't appreciate, or sometimes they get annoyed with their families, or they don't want to have these huge family meetings, like for Thanksgiving stuff. But me and my sister look at that and we're like, you're lucky. Every Christmas, every big holiday, you get to have your family with you. You get to see your cousins, you get to see your mom and dad, your grandma, grandpa, you get to see everybody. And not until this last summer, me and my sister went to Korea for the first time in about 11 years. And it was one of the greatest times because I got to see my uncles, my aunts, my grandma, my grandpa. I got to see my little cousin for the first time since he was born. I got to see my other cousin that I haven't seen since she was maybe a couple months old. So those are things we do reminisce on, that we do think about if we lived in Korea. But I think for me and my sister, being in the United States, I think it's better for us because we've learned a lot here. If we would have stayed in Korea, I don't know, it's just our personalities could have been different, our views could have been different, and just who we are could have been different. Right now, me and my sister learned a lot of lessons when we were earlier. We learned how to work hard. We learned how to appreciate everything. We learned how important family is. And if we would stay in Korea, I'm not sure if I would have learned all those same lessons and who I am today. I don't take anything for granted. I work hard for everything I do. I put my heart and soul into everything I do, whether it's work or school, and I'm really focused. And Korea right now is so much different from today, back when I was a little kid. And not saying that Korea is bad right now, but it's just Koreans in general, just they party a lot. They don't have as much respect for their elders. It's just the whole world is changing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I appreciate what I've learned here in the United States. And if I got to choose where I wanted to live, or before I was born, I would say United States again, just because of all those lessons I've learned. And those are invaluable sometimes. And yeah, I miss my family, but it makes me want to be even better to my family. And when I go see them, I appreciate them that much more. Because when you're with your family, you forget, how important they are when you're around them all the time. So, yeah. So how do I feel about being an Asian American? Well, honestly, before you even asked that question, I really didn't even think about it. Because, I was born in the United States, so you're just kind of accustomed to it. But the one thing I guess I could say is pretty cool is I have a dual background. I can speak both languages, which is pretty cool considering today everything is international. So I guess that is pretty cool. And what else? I get to try both foods, both American traditional food and Korean. So I got best of the both worlds. And the differences that I saw when I was growing up, I mean, there's a lot of good things, but with good things, there's also a lot of bad things. So bad things first, because let's just get that out of the way. When I was growing up, in America or wherever you go, there's a lot of racism. There's a lot of racist people, and when my sister used to go to school, she was like legitimately the only Asian girl in her school. And she got picked on, People throw food at her, call her names. My parents, they still get made fun of today because of their English or how they speak. And so, those are some of the bad things. And everywhere you go, there's going to be some bad things. But the good things is, you get to appreciate a lot more. You get to learn both traditions and customs of both America and Korea. And of course my parents, they're Korean, first generation, so they're gonna emphasize Korean traditions. So don't wear shoes inside a home. Not all Asian people do that. That's out of respect. You don't wear shoes inside your house, because one, it's dirty, and two, I don't know how Americans do that, but it's just dirty, so there weren't that many differences besides skin. All my friends were really nice. There's some stereotypes, but I even play along with those because it's funny to me. So I don't try to take racism as serious to me. I try to ignore it. So I guess to me personally, there aren't that many differences that I saw growing up, besides my parents, just emphasizing more Korean culture. But they do a good job of infusing both. And the conservative part, religion is religion, no matter what you are. And I guess Christianity, you can say it is more conservative than being liberal. I don't know why that is, but I don't base my religion off of on politics. It helps me pick who I want to vote for and stuff like that, but I look at who's running for a candidate. Because, my sister, she's more of a liberal, and she's Christian. So I guess it's just your preference, And then obviously, if a president came out and said, we're going to take out God, we're going to take out Christ from our country, then yeah, that plays a part. Because the president is bringing in religion, and that affects me because I believe in Christ, and I'm a believer. So, but that's a rare instance. So most of the time, it does play a role in what type of politics you believe in, but I don't think it's that big to me. From what I know is, there's not that, just because you're Asian, or you come from an Asian background, Asian culture, whatever you are, a fob, you know, international student, it doesn't matter. And you compare that with Western culture, yes, there were a lot of differences back if you look through history. You know, Eastern culture was very closed, was very conservative, and the West was, you know, like they said, wide open West. You know, but today, you know, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, whether you come from an Asian family or not, or white family, you know, whatever it is, I don't think there's any differences. Yes, the views and thinking is clearly different because, you know, you're from a whole different country, and America is a whole different country. You know, Western culture is so different from East Asian culture. But when you're making those decisions, you know, to be, you know, conservative or whatever, wherever you are, liberal or whatever, I don't think it plays that much of a role. You know, and as for Christians who, you know, don't go to church, you know, for college students, you know, they only go because their parents make them go throughout high school, but in college they don't go because, you know, it's their choice now. I think that's completely the same with, you know, Western culture. I mean, if you look at our youth today and our generation and generation after us, it's very rebellious. It's very different, very liberal. Doesn't matter what background you're from. It's just that's how the way it is. We've become really, really open. Even in South Korea, I went there, you know, for the first time in 10 years, and it's so much different. In fact, it looks like America a little bit. It looks like New York City. You know, they just have so many things. Everything is so Americanized. And I think everywhere, a lot of places, like that's not a third world country, is becoming very Americanized. You look at China, and you see some of the things they have in their bigger cities, you know, especially in business-wise and stuff, they're becoming Americanized. You know, Western culture is spreading, but, you know, back to your question, I don't think there's a lot of differences to me in how we make decisions. I think it's the same. I think it's just a generation thing. Every generation is different, and right now we're just very open, very not really conservative right now, very liberal. And I think that's for a lot of people. So schooling is the same till about middle school, but high school is so much harder than in America. High school, you get done with school, you go to school about 7 a.m. and my cousin tells me that you don't get done until about midnight or 1. So you eat breakfast at home, but you eat lunch, dinner, and everything else at school. And they have after school programs, which are like activities, and like career centers, if you want to compare it to the US. And my personal experiences, you know, I really didn't have a lot of outside activities when I went to school here, but I still had, you know, my parents still emphasized Asian culture, so I did the stereotype of I had piano lessons, I had violin lessons. There were some things I wanted to do that they let me do, like taekwondo, martial arts, I got to do. But I played the drums, the trumpet, you know, all the things I did. My parents did kind of force me to do, especially piano and violin, because, you know, most Asian does that anyway. But my experience of this was a lot of kids were allowed to, you know, like you said, play, watch TV, play video games, go play outside. For me, that was completely different. I was allowed to go play every now and then, but my schedule from Monday through Friday was no TV. All I did was study. Of course, my sister played with me sometimes, but they really emphasized me to study first. Make sure you get all your homework done. Make sure you get all the things that you need to do first, and then you can play. But I wasn't allowed to watch TV at all. I would be able to watch TV every Wednesday because at my school, it's a Christian school, and we have church on Wednesday nights. That's the only one day they wouldn't give out homework. So my mom kind of, when I went into high school, she was like, okay, you know what, maybe you can watch some TV on Wednesday. And so, you know, I did. And, you know, that's, for me, I mean, if you compare that situation to a lot of other kids, pretty sure they won't be happy about that. And pretty sure it's completely different. I know a lot of my friends play video games and whatnot. They did whatever they wanted to, you know, after school. For me, I did my homework, and I think that helped me out a lot because today I don't even eat when I'm hungry. If I'm working on something, I just do. It's just ingrained in my head that I have to get my homework and my thing done first before I can go have fun, before I can go hang out with friends, before I can do anything else. That's just the person I am, and that helped me a lot when my parents taught me that at a very young age. Okay, for my parents, I know for a fact that my mom wants to. She always wanted to go live back in Korea. That doesn't mean she's not thankful for everything that she's had in America, but right now my mom hasn't. How do I say this? My grandma and grandpa, they're at an age where, like other grandma and grandpas, you don't know how much longer they're gonna live. And one of the things that hurts my mom a lot is not the only fact that she can't see them on a daily basis as if she was in Korea, but out of all of her brothers and sisters, which I believe there's 7, they worry about her the most. If you ask my grandma and grandpa today, what makes them sad, what makes them, worrisome, or what makes them stressed out is my mom. Because one, they know she's not healthy. She's had a lot of medical problems, and to this day, I don't know how much longer my mom can live. It's just a fact that I live with. 2, they worry about her because also financially. My mom used to live in Korea. She never worked like this before. She never cooked. Like, for everything was given to her. That was the type of life my mom had. Because my grandma and grandpa were pretty, they were pretty wealthy. She got what she wanted. She ate the food she wanted. So my mom, I guess, was kind of spoiled, if you want to say. But right now she's a completely different person. And, it hurts her to see her parents worry about her, even at their age. It also hurts her because she can't, instead of providing for her mom and dad, her mom and dad are still helping her out. And for that reason and other reasons as well, besides she wants to be closer to family, be with them till however much they live. She always wanted to go back to Korea. And when she retires and things are done here, I think she will go back to Korea and live there for a little bit, For my dad, though, it's a little bit different because, one, Korea is so different. Even the language has changed so much. If my parents go to Korea, there's some things they can't understand because all the different slang, kids come up with these days. But my dad's whole side family is here. His family's here. He likes America. He still loves Korea, but he's been here so long to the point where he doesn't know anything about Korea anymore. It's so different. And, you grow comfortable in a place where you've been for 30 years. So I think he would want to go visit Korea, but definitely not live there. As for me personally, I can't see myself working in Korea, but things can change. But as of right now, I really don't want to work in Korea because, one, I want to be a sports writer, and basketball is not that big yet in Korea, so America would be one of the places. But it's not 100% sure though. So I don't know what God's gonna do in my life, but I do want to go live in Korea temporarily, for the same reasons my mom does. I think I can speak the same for my sister. I want to see my cousins. I just want to be with my grandma and grandpa. They don't get to see us a lot. They get to see everyone else except for us. And I miss his birthdays. I miss my cousin's birthdays. To a newborn kid, I'm his uncle, and I didn't even get the chance to say hi to him. So there's a lot of things that goes through my head, and because in the end, me and my sister and my brother is gonna keep this family going. We're gonna have to keep our family in Korea connected. like my cousin's Grace and stuff. And so I want to make sure we have a good relationship and that we're always there for each other. Because no matter how far away you are, I want to make sure that, if my family ever need anything of me, I want to be the first person they call. So I do want to live in Korea temporarily. When I retire, I don't know, who knows? That's so long away, like 40, 50, 60 years later. I honestly don't know what's going to happen in my life, but I'm one of those people that I'm going to live right now. I'm not going to try to worry too much about the future, because if you do, you're going to grow a lot of white hairs. So, you just want to live in the moment, do the best that you can right now. And in the end, for me, it's all about God, growing closer to Him and really listening to what He wants to do in my life and my family's life. Anything else?